Hello and welcome back to the Beer Ladies podcast. I am your host today. I am Hilary, and with me today I have Thandi and Carolyn and Joanne. Say hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Hi, everyone.
So first of all, let's start off. What are we drinking? Thandi, I'll go to you first. What are you drinking?
Cool. So today I'm trying a new beer. It is from Left Hand Brewing Company. It's called Getting Tiki with It. I think somebody in our group was drinking it a while back.
Yeah, I saw that up somewhere.
I had that a while back. Yeah, it's very nice.
So it's a nitro pina colada wheat beer. And I haven't even had my first sip yet, so I'm going to have my first sip.
Have your first sip.
I'm going to, but I love the way that it poured, because I love the way that nitro pours, and it was just like amazing to watch, and I should have videoed it.
Okay. Tell us what you think.
Ooh. It's creamier than I thought. That's interesting. Okay, awesome. I'm going to sip on this one.
Carolyn, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking Ballycocavin Brewery, their raspberry wheat beer.
Wonderful. That sounds lovely.
So,
Raspberry wheat is always a favorite of mine. Like any kind of a flavored wheat beer, raspberry is the dopest.
Yeah.
I like the tartness that it brings.
It's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not too
Is
sweet.
it good?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I haven't had that one yet, actually. I'd like to try it.
Yeah, I bought this one. And I forget what other one from them. So I drank that one yesterday and this one today.
I haven't tried that many of theirs yet, actually. I must need to get around to that.
Joanne, my darling, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I am drinking. This was a birthday present from some people who know me very well. It's White Gypsy 2016 Reserve, and it's a soured Irish stout. So
that sounds good.
Stout.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah. So I haven't tasted
That
it
sounds
either.
amazing.
It's really dark.
I don't know if I like the idea of a sour stout, though, guys.
It's good, actually.
Really?
But it's not too sour, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I have had a sour stout before, and I wasn't that keen on it. But it's not as sour. It's a bit, it's a bit more balanced than the last one I had.
Stouts, I have to say, is not my stout is not my favorite beer style.
That is really good. Sorry.
Do prefer, but I have had stouts that I really liked before. Like there was like a pecan stout that I had that was wonderful. But I generally tend toward the light, not lighter beers, but a wheat beer or IPAs are all right. I'm just kind of over them a little bit.
I feel like a lot of people have taken it so far that actually I'm almost not into the double IPAs or things at the moment.
The market is flooded. It's it's to the point where everyone's in a competition to see how hoppy they can make their beers. Like, oh, let's see how gross and bitter we can make it. And it's just not my bag, baby.
Yeah.
I have found that, like, I like the hazy IPAs, the really fruity hazy IPAs. There's a lot of really good ones of those about. Dot Brew have had a few good ones of those recently. I love an IPA, to be honest. So,
Joanne, you've got an impressive wall of beer behind you. And I just want to direct everyone's attention toward that. So what I'm seeing right now, everybody, is Joanne is sitting in front of a shelf, and the top shelf has all cans and a couple of bottles. I see some O'Hara's. I see, trying to look at the labels there.
Trouble. There's 12
acres.
Yeah.
Wicklow.
Wicklow. Yeah.
And the
Wicklow.
second shelf, it looks like, is liquor shelf, and then some
with
some beer books.
some books
little
there,
baby,
yeah.
a little baby doll thing.
Yeah. A little,
Oh, that's Susan.
Who is Susan Joanne?
I got her when I was about 2 from my 2 older sisters.
No way.
And I called her Susan after my eldest sister's schoolmate. So we kind of hide her places around the apartment to freak people out. So we thought that when we put her there earlier, the lighting was, we were testing out the video on the phone rather than the Zoom video. So she was kind of more hidden, where she's a lot more obvious there. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I like because obviously not everybody listening can see this, but it looks like a creepy haunted doll, and it looks really cool on the beer shelf. Like it's a,
and that
like
is incredibly. What's the word? I don't know. Coincidental, maybe, because I was just watching a horror movie on creepy dolls.
Oh,
and creepy dolls.
Annabelle.
Oh yeah,
she's not that creepy. She's all right.
she's not Annabelle creepy.
She's not Annabelle creepy. That's for sure.
What is Annabelle about?
It is about. It takes place, I believe, in I want to say the 60s. They're very.
It's a real doll. It's a real doll. Like you can go visit it.
Yes, that's right. It must be based on a true story. So essentially, there was, like the Charlie Manson cult. There were similar spin-off cults, let's say, and the story centers around a couple, and their neighbors get murdered by their daughter and her boyfriend who had joined a cult, and then they go and attack the young couple, but the police intervene in time. But part of it was that this woman, the woman of the young couple collects dolls, and her husband had bought her this one to complete a set, like a collectible to complete a set, and then the young girl that had killed her parents, that was part of the cult, was holding on to the doll when she died, and some of her blood like drips into the doll, so the doll's like demon possessed. And
Sounds
I did
delightful.
I did see at the end of the movie that it is in a glass case, and a priest comes to bless it twice a day.
Yeah,
still to this day.
It's a real doll. It's
Yes.
Let me.
Oh.
There is another one called, so there is another haunted doll legend or real story of Robert the doll. I don't know if you've heard of Robert the doll, but look it up. It is extraordinarily creepy.
Okay, give us the TLDR version of this doll.
TLDR is that it is a super creepy doll that like moved around on its own in the attic, and like they tried to shove it under boxes in an attic, and it would like reappear on a chair in the house. It's just super creepy.
Burn it down.
Podcast that I listen to that does cover it. So if anyone is interested in that kind of stuff, the Astonishing Legends podcast.
Oh yes, I listened to some of that as well.
Giving those boys a shout out.
It's a cool podcast.
Yeah,
but you've got to like the format though, because it's quite long, but their storytelling is great.
Yes, I do. I like the format because they kind of. Sometimes I prefer stories, but then I listen to lore.
Lore is awesome.
Yeah, lore is very good. So, ladies, one question that I will direct to you, Joanne. In the before times, before the health crisis times, we used to get together once a month, the beer ladies, and of course you weren't always able to make it because of your location. How do you think that the coronavirus situation has changed your drinking habits?
I'm drinking more varied stuff, actually. I think a lot more because I'm ordering a lot of stuff online from breweries and stuff, so I'm trying a lot more of a variety of things, kind of, so whereas if you're just going to the same, even though when we meet up we tend to go somewhere that has a good selection, but now I'm going through the list on the websites and just everything I haven't tried, whatever I can fit in the box. I'm probably drinking less, I think, but more variety of things, I think. Definitely.
Same question to you, Thandi.
Yeah, I think I'm probably drinking the same or more. I think in the beginning of lockdown I was definitely drinking more. I think we kind of all drinking.
Yeah. At the beginning, definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even know why that was our reaction to this, but it was just one of those things. And friends from all over have said the same thing. They just like started the first 2 months being like absolute, drinking absolutely everything. But I also think I'm trying more things because I'm ordering online, and I wasn't always doing that before. I'd kind of rely on whatever was around me, or whichever shops I used to go to, and they were kind of always the same ones. So I was just getting through that first. But now I think I've tried so many new beers. It's been astounding.
And Carolyn, same question.
Yeah, same what Joanne and Thandi are saying. Like, yeah, I feel like I drink less, but I drink more variety, because when we go into pubs, there's not a lot of craft beers, or they have certain craft beers all around Ireland, and that's the ones that are in the kegs, versus like when you order online, you can pretty much get whatever you want.
Yeah, you're right about that, because I suppose what's on tap is such a limited variety compared to what's available in can or bottle. Yeah.
They don't always have cans or bottles of stuff.
So Hilary, how did it change your drinking habit? Now, I'm sure you can get there, but yeah.
Yeah, at first I was probably drinking more. It was difficult because I genuinely don't mind working from home, and I know that I'm extraordinarily lucky to have a job that allows me to do that. What I did miss was getting my exercise, going to the gym and stuff. So I have an exercise bike, but I wasn't always using it, and I was probably I think at first I was drinking a little more. So you'll notice today I don't have a beer in front of me, because I'm just doing just drying out for a little while here.
Hey, you're doing sober October, aren't you?
A bit, yeah. I'm gonna try. We'll see how far into October we get. Truthfully, Thandi.
But what do you guys think of these concepts? Because you know how people do dry January or sober October. Like, do you think it's sort of a good thing to just take off for a month, or do you think it's something that you should address kind of more frequently than that? You know?
Yeah, I think personally, I know different people do it for different reasons. And I guess that I suppose it depends on why you're doing it. So personally, why I'm doing it is just that we're doing a part of a cleanse, or doing a digestive cleanse. It sounds like super poncy, but it's just basically you don't eat things that are difficult to digest, and part of that is gluten. So most beer is chock full of gluten. I know you can get gluten free, but you can't have alcohol on this cleanse either. So really, it's no red meat, no alcohol, no sugar, no refined sugars, no processed foods, no gluten, no dairy.
All the good stuff.
All the good stuff. That's exactly it, Joanne. Like,
sounds like torture.
I can handle most of it, but take my cheese away, man.
Yeah.
Love cheese.
Cheese is a tough one.
Definitely.
So it's an interesting question that you posed, Thandi. I guess the short answer from me is it really depends on why you're doing it.
Yeah.
And what you expect to get from it.
Yeah,
exactly. Like I always worry, because I think that if people do dry January, it's like it reminds me of people who actually have a drinking problem, and they've got to challenge themselves to not drink. Whereas I think in a healthy relationship with alcohol, it doesn't need to be a challenge. It can just be a thing that you just don't drink sometimes, and that's okay too. So I don't always love the challenges, but I respect people who do them, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, my husband hasn't been drinking since this all started, and that was for personal reasons and just been in the house all the time. But that's influenced what I'm drinking as well, because I think if he was drinking, we would both be drinking a lot.
Right.
Whereas because he's not, I'm kind of I'm not drinking it. Like, I'll have the odd one when I come home from work, or when I'm chatting to you guys or whatever, but it does influence it a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And I think some people for mental health reasons kind of ease off as well with everything that's going on, because it does have an effect. Like the next, especially I've noticed the next day, sometimes I'll feel quite low if I've had too many the day before, which in the current kind of climate is
Yeah,
not
you kind of want to.
necessarily that helpful.
Yeah, you want to take care of yourself actually as much as possible.
Yeah.
Although it feels like we were getting back to normal, and now we're not back to normal exactly again. So I think we're also, it's also probably not a bad thing to ease off anyway sometimes, just because, I don't know, man, the world is upside down, and maybe that's just a way of keeping clear-headed or something.
I think though like a lot of people drink. I do personally, just sometimes just to blow off some steam. You know, like we were away last weekend. It was a socially distanced thing with our friends, but I hadn't actually had a drink with other people for, so like not physically, like with you guys on Zoom and all that, but with another person. And it was just so nice and so relaxing to just sit down, chill out, have a few drinks with some other people, you know.
Definitely.
Just kind of blow off a bit of steam, really.
Totally. I think I definitely drink because I want to blow off steam. It's a way for me to relax. But I'm equally that person that can have one beer and it's absolutely enough, and I don't need another one. Or I could, go on a complete bender on a random Tuesday. So
definitely,
it can go either way.
I like to keep the party going.
That's half my problem, is that I've got FOMO, and it just I don't ever want things to stop. But that's not all the time. Sometimes it's just nice to have a beer while you're cooking dinner, and it's just a wind down from the day, especially now, because also lucky enough to have a job where I can work from home, but I have to somehow separate my work day from my home day, in a way. Like, it's not like there's a commute anymore, and maybe what I should actually do is go for like a walk, but
it's getting cold and rainy.
Yeah, it is.
Beer's more
not
fun,
ideal,
really, isn't it?
So exactly. So that for me is kind of the transition sometimes between work day and home life, and even though it's in the same house, I don't know, it works.
I was actually thinking, I'm going to steer the conversation in a different direction, if you'll allow it, ladies. I was actually just thinking early. So first of all, for our listeners, you may hear a variety of accents here. So our Thandi is from South Africa, and our Joanne is from Ireland, and Carolyn and I are both from the US. And I was thinking earlier about the notion of craft beer. And I just remember, and I know, Carolyn, you're quite a bit younger than I am, so it mightn't be the same for you. But I remember when I was growing up and coming of drinking age in the mid to late 90s, it was just designated as local beer. It was just your local beers, because you had your Budweiser, your Miller Lite, your any Americans listening, your Milwaukee's Best, the Beast, which are the big macros, right? And then the smaller ones, which, I guess eventually were turned into microbreweries. But other than that, like, we just had our local beers. And it wasn't ever anything that we thought were, I don't want to say that they didn't stand out, because they did. They're very well made beers. The breweries had been up for a while, but I guess it was just always there. It was like a fact of life. So Thandi, can you tell us a little bit about your experience in South Africa? With craft beer?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, it was kind of a similar thing, that for a long time, it was just kind of the macro lagers that were available. And South Africa is very much lager country because it's hot, and lagers are second to none for a hot day. And SAB was, SAB, before it was bought out, was the biggest brewery in the world, I think. So, and that's South African breweries. And our flagship beers were Castle and Castle Light, and then Black Label, which is a Carling brand. And they were very different beers from each other, but all three are lagers. Then there was one milk stout on the market from Castle. So I'd sort of grown up knowing lager, as in clear yellow lager, and the random milk stout. And when I was kind of when I was coming of age and drinking a bit more, I mean, I liked the lagers anyway, and I still like lagers. Like, I'm a big lager fan, but every time I'd see a new beer, I used to go to this pub called the Jolly Roger in Johannesburg, and it's a great pub. It's absolutely legendary. But they were one of the first places that stocked things like Pilsner Quell, or they stocked a couple of almost the European lagers, or a couple of ice beers every now and then. So every time I'd see a new beer, either on tap or in the fridges, I was just interested in it. I just wanted to taste it, and I guess it was a curiosity thing for me, and I guess it just continued because there were just more and more beers starting to be available, and it was kind of around the time that I was really getting into it that I started brewing as well. So then I was obsessed, and I've been obsessed with beer ever since. I mean, that was, I don't know, probably 10 years ago, more than that.
Carolyn, talk about your experience in Texas, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't really get started beer until my coworkers and I started going to this place called Brass Tap in Round Rock, because it was near where we worked. So we went there all the time. They always have rotating beer, so I would literally drink whatever they handed me. They were like, "Here, you'll like this." Like, we went so often that they knew what I liked, and I'd walk in the door and they're like, "You'll like this today." And we'd sit there and chat for hours and and then Austin has a bunch of breweries, so just started going out. I mean, you could throw a rock and hit a brewery in Austin at this point, which is not a bad thing, because there's a brewery for everyone. Like, there's some breweries that do really good IPAs. There's some breweries that do really good sours, and they just do sours. Like, so
Yeah.
it was kind of nice living in Austin and having all these breweries at my doorstep, and you could go try out whatever you wanted, or go to craft beer bars and try beer from all over the world or the United States. So yeah, I mean,
and would you have known them as craft, or was it kind of like local?
I mean, I guess a little bit of both, because like it depends on because some of them are just local. They're not shipping out of Texas yet. Right. So, because there's new ones popping up all the time. So yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of both. Some of them you can find their beer across the U.S. Some of them it's just
actually
Texas.
That's a really good point. I didn't think about that. Like, Founders, which you guys may be familiar with, is very near my hometown. And while we would have said it was our, local beer, I guess, you can find it anywhere now. So it doesn't really make it local anymore.
Yeah. So I guess it just depends on what stage the breweries are at.
Yeah. I mean, definitely Joanne will probably agree with this, but the US was way ahead of other countries. And I think South Africa was many, many years behind. I remember when I first tasted things like pale ale or an IPA, I actually didn't like them. And it wasn't because of the bitterness. I didn't like the fruitiness of these beers. And I think that's something that I almost grew to like. Funny enough, I started liking gin at the same time. So it actually must have been a bitterness thing. Whereas I always thought it was too bitter before. But the US was way, way, way ahead of probably the rest of the world. And it remains that way. And I think that the rest of the world's breweries are very influenced by what's happening in the US, whether it's the New England IPA craze or the sour craze, or, chocolate peanut butter pastry stouts, whatever the US is doing, the world probably copies.
I mean, I'm drinking American wheat beer right now in Ireland. So there you go.
Same here.
Joanne, tell us about how you got started with your love affair with beer and the craft in particular.
Until I'd say my late 20s, beginning of my 30s, I started out Bulmers, then onto lagers, and then onto Guinness. I had my first pint of Guinness when I was about 30.
Really?
Yeah.
Joanne, you're Irish. That's embarrassing.
No, I had tasted it growing up, but I never liked it. I lived in England for a while, and people were always like, "Oh, you like Guinness, so if you're Irish," and I'd never had it. So the first pint I had was actually in the storehouse, and it was at the time, like, that was when Guinness was, better. But it tastes, to me, this sounds weird, but it tasted like Dublin, like, the smell that you get going through Dublin from James's Gate. That's what That's what it reminded me of. But
I actually live very close to St. James's Gate, so I smell it every day.
That's what Guinness used to taste like. But then I think it was probably my sister was a barmaid, and my husband was into home brewing, so they kind of both got me into, when I was around 30, got me into kind of IPAs and all that kind of thing. And then we started going to craft beer festivals, and it's kind of moved on from there, progression from that. But yeah, it was very, like, here when growing up, there was very little in the way of craft beer. It was all like Guinness, Bulmers, Dutch Gold, whatever kind of,
It's amazing. Yeah, sorry, Joanne, go on.
There weren't that in the sorry, there wasn't that much in the way of like local breweries at the time. It was kind of, it was all very much mass produced kind of stuff.
So I always thought that Ireland would be more similar to England in that way, where like pubs produce almost their own ales, and then it sounds like it wasn't the case then.
No, it wasn't. Like all the bigger breweries had quite a monopoly on it. And I think some of them still do in some bars, definitely, to some extent. Like it's taken a lot for the smaller craft breweries to kind of break in, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing that it's happening now. I think there's so much more variety, and people are still kind of wary. Not wary, but people are kind of set in their ways and used to what they're used to, and it can take a little while to.
Very brand loyal, I find.
Yeah, definitely,
very brand
definitely.
loyal.
Yeah. But what I like about the craft bars, they're very good at kind of asking people what they like and giving them something that matches that. They try, I think, a lot of them to do that.
I fully believe that there is a beer out there for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like if you can tell me what things what flavors you like, I bet you I can find a beer for you. And maybe it'll take a bit of trial and error, but I think that a lot of people are scared of putting down a bit of cash and not liking it, or people have had one bad beer or one beer that they didn't like actually, and then they say, that's it. Craft beer is rubbish, back to the lagers, or back to the Guinness, or back to, whatever's going. And I think people, it certainly happened in South Africa, and I've seen it here as well, where people paint craft beer, and I say that with inverted commas because honestly, for me, beer is beer, regardless of the size. But people paint craft beer with such a single brush. Like if you've tasted one wheat beer that was a bit too sour for you, then you don't like an imperial stout. And that's weird to me. It's weird, but
yeah, and
that's what happens.
Also think that like everybody pushes IPAs so much, and sometimes that's not the right thing for somebody who's
because they're
never
quite strong.
drank
definitely
craft beer, and like that's great. I'm not an IPA person. I don't like them. I'm one of the few, but like I just started with wit beers, and then I went to sours, and I was like, oh, these are great. Like this is what I like. I don't like the very hoppy, bitter taste, but I feel like there's so much IPAs, we were saying earlier, that's what people first pick, and they might not like it, and then that turns them off.
Yeah, we need more ambers. Bring me an amber.
Oh yeah, like ambers. Like
if there are any brewers listening to this, brew some more amber beers. This is what we want.
You don't see them. You don't see them that often. It's really difficult to find a good amber ale.
I think Wiggler Wolf does one.
It's not an amber ale though. It's a red ale, definitely.
The four provinces have a nice amber ale that I had.
Do they?
A couple of days ago.
Okay, four provinces. That's right. I think you were mentioning that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to go look at that.
And I got that that was in Lidl as well. Nice. Yeah,
but then that's one out of however many breweries there are at the moment.
And the I know the Ladies Craft Beer Society went and brewed a beer with Trouble, and that was an amber. But it obviously limited edition. So, sadly. But more ambers, man. Brew more ambers.
Ambers are great. I don't know what it is about them, but I think because they're so balanced and they're just, they've got the best of both worlds, best of the bitterness, best of the maltiness, and a really good amber ale that finishes off really clean is just something to behold. It was one of my first styles that I loved.
It's malty without being too heavy.
Yeah.
It's, but it's hoppy without being to bitter. They're just a beautifully balanced beer. Yeah, when you get a really good amber, nothing like it.
Oh, totally agree.
Hashtag brew more amber.
Yeah. Let's start a movement.
Brew more stuff other than IPAs.
Episode title, hashtag brew more amber.
We're starting it. That's it, guys. But I do feel like here in Ireland at the moment, I think a lot of the brewers are chasing IPAs big time. Like you just see so many like double IPAs or sour IPAs and weird IPAs. And I mean, I know it's kind of weird, but I feel like it's a little bit of probably a late reaction to the rest of the world being IPA obsessed a few years ago. But now I feel like I can't always distinguish between every brewer's various IPAs. There used to be a time where a brewery would have like a lager, a stout, a Weissbier, and an IPA, almost. And then people started doing variations on it. So a pale ale, then an IPA, then an IPA, and then a New England IPA. Then it was a double IPA, an IPA, and a New England IPA, and it was a session IPA. so now all of the
when is it going to stop?
Exactly. So and sometimes they blend into each other a little bit. So
I don't necessarily know the difference between them all, to be honest.
Whenever I would travel to France, in French beer, it is the blanche, blonde, ambre, brune, and it's you've got your white beer, your blonde beer, your amber, and your dark beer.
And
that's
interesting.
Almost all French breweries do that. Any French brew pub you go into, they have this. It's a standard blonde, white, blonde, amber, dark.
Yes.
And they're lovely. And I think actually, Joanne, you may remember way back before Sweetman's, it was Messrs. McGuire.
Oh, I do, yeah.
And they used to have a standard, I don't know if it was a lager, if it was a blonde, it might have been a blonde or a wheat, or they might have had both, but they definitely had like a Weissbier, as you say, a lager, and then like an amber or a brown beer, and then a stout. And that was like the standard, as you say, like they have that variety, and now everybody's got like 40 varieties of IPA.
Yeah.
Let's go back to basics, folks.
Yeah. I always appreciated like when you find something like a brown ale or a dark mild or almost anything besides an IPA, as much as I love them, because I do love IPAs. I love hops, like I'm obsessed with them, but it's nice to see other things.
Now, what is a dark mild? That's a new term to me. What exactly is a dark mild? I don't know, is it something that I know that just you're using a different name, or?
So milds are a style of British beer. So they're kind
like
of
the bitters,
related to bitters. They're kind of related to bitters, but they're actually less bitter than that, which is why they're called milds.
Okay.
So they're an ale, but they've got like a chocolate malt or something in them to make them darker. And they are malt forward, but very sessionable, very easy drinking. And that's how I sort of know them.
Is there another name for them, or?
Not that I know of.
No, not really. Like if you were in England, I don't know that they would say, "Oh, it's a dark mild." It would just be an ale. They just everything's an ale.
It's just not something I've come across.
Yeah, I've always kind of associated, for some reason, when I hear dark mild, I always associate it with like a smoky taste. And maybe it was just a dark mild that I had that had that smoky flavor to it, because I'm not really into the
smoky.
No, and I'm not really into the smokier flavors. But
I try to like them, but I like half a pint and then I'm done with it.
Yeah,
they're too.
You couldn't drink it all night.
No.
And then, this is where my train of thought is going now. Thinking of England, and why I like drinking in England is because of the cask ales. And I know cask is not for everyone, but it is a delight for me. And it is such a disappointment when I go to a pub in Ireland and they don't have something nice on cask or something, or very few places have cask anyway.
I think it's because you've got to serve it like super fresh, and a lot of the breweries or a lot of the pubs and in England make their own beer, downstairs somewhere in the basement.
Right.
So
like your
that's why
Green
they
King
can.
pubs and your
Exactly.
Youngs and your
Exactly. So they can have it on cost because it doesn't last as long as it does in a keg with the forced carbonation. So it obviously carbonates as you're pouring it. Which is it's a complete art. I mean, those like cask ales are something else when they're done right. But I think that unless you're brewing it or unless you're very close to the brewery, you almost wouldn't want to risk doing too much cask here. I could
that
be
makes
wrong,
sense.
I could be wrong. Like I'd actually love to hear if anybody knows differently.
The only place I can think of that I've seen it, and now this is Northern Ireland, but it was in Belfast at the Castle Saloon. I think they had cask beer.
Oh yeah, they would do. Yeah.
So the Wetherspoons
the Crown
do
Saloon.
have.
Crown Saloon.
Wetherspoons does. Yeah, the Crown.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
I didn't like it because it wasn't cold enough, but I like my beer like ice cold. I guess coming from Texas, we like it cold.
That makes sense.
It's so hot.
That's
that
also
makes
a bit of a
sense.
South African thing as well, because it's hot and beer is generally cold, not room temperature.
Yeah.
But it depends on the style for me. Like I want a lager cold or like different styles, but a stout can be warmer.
Right.
Central Africa too. When I was in Nairobi, I had Tusker, I think it was. Yeah,
Tusker, great beer.
Yeah, they were very excited that I ordered it. They're like, "Oh, it's our local beer."
That's lovely. My husband used to work in various countries in Central Africa, and he used to bring some home because it is my sworn mission to try every beer in the world, and that included wherever he traveled, he needed to bring something back. And I mean, it's really just a macro lager, but it was very exciting.
I used to travel quite a lot to the Philippines for work, and I had every imaginable flavor of San Miguel beer. Because that's the dominating brewery.
You're like, just give me all. I'll try anything and everything.
Yeah. Well, they had all these. I went to. So I work as a trainer, and I was training somewhere in the northern part of the island. So I was up in the mountains, and I was training from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. So when we finished up, I think it must have been, I can't remember if we did 10 p.m. on the Thursday and finished up Friday morning for the weekend, or if we finished up Saturday morning, but I want to say we finished up Friday morning and then started Sunday night. I think it was something like that. But there was a pub called the Red Lion pub that was open because people do work, because there are call centers, right? And it's shift work. So people do work all shifts and they'll go. And we went to the Red Lion pub at 6 a.m. for some beer. And the menu of the different flavors of the San Miguel beers. I mean, it's all San Miguel lagers, but with different flavors. You can get a lemon one, a lime one. You can get like a strawberry one. They had all different flavors of them.
That sounds very interesting. I would definitely be intrigued.
I mean, it was good. I drank, I
sit there and try a bunch of flavors.
Them all.
Yeah. And I did. And I like the lemony ones were really nice. It's almost like a Radler.
Okay.
Yeah. That's so weird. It made me just think about there's a restaurant. Well, it's like a restaurant bar pub chain in South Africa called Brew Hogs, and the beers that are brewed for Brew Hogs are by Brew Hogs Brewery, but they're only available at those pubs, right? Anyway, what's actually really interesting about them is that I think there are 4 different beers, but they're designed so that you can have them together or mixed with each other to create your own styles. Yeah, which is super weird. Like you don't really think, okay, let's mix an amber and a blonde or something. But actually, a lot of their more popular beers are mixes of them, and they were designed to do that. It wasn't unintentional, and it's fascinating to me that's a way of thinking about.
I love that idea. Yeah. I used to mix beers just to irritate my ex-husband.
That's a good reason.
Nothing annoyed him more than
what can I make tonight? Let's see if this will work or not.
Actually, that actually reminds me of a story I heard, and I won't name the breweries or anything like that, or the pub that did this, but there was a pub who, a brewer went in and asked for their own beer, which was a stout, and obviously the barman didn't know it was the brewer, and started pouring it and ran out, and then topped it off with another stout.
Oh no.
Oh my word.
I'm sure that brewer was like mortified.
They were telling me the story, and it was just like, I did not know what to even say.
I think what would have been more embarrassing is if they enjoyed the beer more after that, you know.
Oh my God.
It's a great idea.
What a great beer I've brewed here, you know. Oh,
That's hilarious.
Speaking of which, I've actually changed beers. I've got a new one. Now, overall, I've got to say, I don't think I loved this getting tiki with it. I wanted to, because it's all flavors I love, but it just was a bit flat for me. I'm now on Black Donkey Brewing, the Sheep Stealer. It's an Irish farmhouse ale.
Sheep Stealer is a beautiful beer. I love that one.
It actually is lovely. Like I really like saisons, and I've always loved farmhouse and funky beers. I like this beer, although I do think it needs slightly more carbonation, like to be really true to style, but also just there's something about if you're going to have a saison or a funky kind of, you know, barnyardy beer, I think that the high carbonation or the higher carbonation like lifts the flavor a little bit so that it's just tastes better. So I think it's a little bit undercarbed for my liking, but I do like it. It's very nice. I've been half avoiding buying anything from Black Donkey because I really hate their branding. Like I hate it so much. And it's just a personal thing, but I look at this and I'm like, just doesn't look appealing. But anyway, I finally caved and did it. And now I'll be more open to buying more, you know.
More carbonation means more burping, though.
Yeah.
A good burp is satisfying.
I'm just hoping my mic isn't picking up all the quiet ones.
Me too. I'm like,
I can feel it gurgling here.
Yeah.
And now for the next segment, your burps.
How far in the alphabet can you get?
I love it. Oh God. Hey Joanne.
Yeah.
So you and I chatted briefly about the fact that we want to do BJCP next year.
Yeah.
So for the listeners at home, you know, we've both lamented the fact that we've been sort of putting it off for ages and ages and ages, and we've both been interested in doing it. So are we going to commit to it? Are we going to be study buddies?
I would hope to. I have to look and see exactly, because I registered for it. I'd say it was 5 years ago, and then just a load of shit. Life happened, and I couldn't do it. So, yeah, I would like to do it.
So for everyone else, BJCP's Beer Judge Certification Program.
That's it.
So it just means that you can you learn. It's a really intensive program. I watched my ex-husband and a lot of my friends go through it. But you are able to identify beer styles. You go through a lot of tests. You identify off flavors and things like that. So basically, when there are things like homebrewing competitions, you can be a judge to attest to whether the beer is true to style.
Yeah. Exactly. And what I find interesting about BJCP or any of the other certification programs, but they're designed to help you understand whether the beer is to style. They're not saying, you know, they're not prescribing whether you like it or not. So if you're judging a beer, it's really only against a style guideline. It's not an indication of whether you would drink it or whether you like it.
100%.
And I quite like that. And I like the idea of separating out the technical sort of aspect of the beer from your own feelings. There are probably plenty of beers that are not exactly to style that are great beers to drink, or there are beers that are not, to style and hit all the right notes and marks, but are just not really your favorite. So I quite like that separation. And I've been a little worried that if I go too far into judging and into BJCP, that I won't appreciate beer just from a flavor perspective. But I think that's what helped me finally decide that I'm going to do it, is that, just figuring out whether it's to style does not prescribe whether it's enjoyable.
Agreed. And I have met judges in the past who have let their personal feelings influence
Yes.
their score, which is, where you see the sheets side by side and every other judge has said this beer is to style, and you have the one holdout that says no, I just didn't like it.
Yeah
Which is wrong. It's the wrong way to judge. So you're absolutely right,
definitely.
Thandi. Your feelings need to be out of it.
Yeah, they need to be out of it. And I think as a brewer, and as a home brewer, I'm not a very regular home brewer, but I occasionally do brew. And it's nice to know when you've hit a style properly, when you've brewed a two-style beer. It's also nice to brew beers that you want to drink. And sometimes they're the same thing, and that's what you aim for, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to try this Apollo Cherry Sour.
Well, I love the can.
Ooh,
that's why I got it, because I like the can.
Carolyn is holding up a can that is bright pink in color.
It has a cherry on it.
And it has a giant cherry on it, with a lovely green stem coming out of the
It looks like
bright
a
red
music
cherry.
note.
And I'm going to be that person and pour it into the glass that I had my other beer.
You're going to want
sour cherry is like one of my favorite flavors.
Yeah.
There is, oh gosh, in the before times when I worked in an actual office, we had these sodas, these like artisan sodas that they provided for us. And one of them was like a sour cherry flavor, and it tasted just like sour cherry candy. Wow. And I don't really drink soda, but I had to like stop myself from drinking 50 of these things a day because I'm like, it's not good for me. It doesn't have like it doesn't have as much sugar in it as like Coke or something like, but still it's pop soda.
Yeah. People might criticize my beer pouring skills, but it's very like,
Carolyn.
I know I did a terrible job.
Carolyn is holding up a glass that is half head.
It's just half head. Exactly.
I did a terrible job. I know.
And she doesn't even have the whole thing in there yet. I mean,
now I do.
That's me. That's how I pour beer too.
You can judge me all you want.
We will.
I'm okay with it. I know I did a terrible job.
What does it smell like, Carolyn? Give us a sniff.
It doesn't like. It smells like a little bit. It's like very light tasting. Like I taste the cherry, but I don't.
Girl, you're tasting head. That's why.
No, okay, but when I tried it out of the can, when I opened up the can and drank straight out of the can, I don't know. I wasn't getting like a strong cherry taste. Like it's very light cherry taste.
Okay. That's interesting because it can be quite a strong flavor.
Yeah.
So it's unexpected for it to be subtle.
Yeah, because I drink it right. I opened the can and then I drank it out of the can before I poured it into my glass so terribly. But yeah, it's very light. I'm indifferent about it. I'll let you know in a couple minutes.
So Carolyn, what has been maybe a couple of your favorite sours in the last while?
All right, well, I'm going to shout out to a brewery in Austin called Southern Heights because they make the best raspberry sour. It's called Jam Session. It is one of my favorites I've ever had. It's not too sour. And like they put a bunch of raspberries in it, of course. But yeah. I'm trying to think. I feel like I had a sour a couple months ago. I don't keep track of the beers I drink, which I should, because I drink a lot of beers.
That's me.
I should be better about logging them, but I'm not. But I'm trying to think. I had a good sour a couple months ago, but I can't remember
I don't feel so bad now, Carolyn, because
What
I
it
can't remember.
was.
I'm thinking.
I'll have to go back and like look at the orders that I've placed, and I'll let you know.
Go on Untapped. Are you on Untapped?
I mean, I am on Untapped. I just don't log anything because
Yeah.
I'm too
I've,
lazy.
I've started logging
And I
in,
should,
so I remember.
because I drink a lot of beer in Austin. Like they'd be like, "You'll like this." They would just hand me whatever, and I drink it, and I'm like, "Oh, this is great. I want that again." And then I would never remember.
I have a whole folder of photos of beers that I haven't checked into Untapped yet, and so every now and then I get some sort of motivation, and I go and log much later, and I don't even rate them. I just put them in there so that I know that I've had them.
I don't rate them either.
That's what I do.
And that's when Untapped pops up and says, "Why are you drinking so much?"
Yeah. So goal for goal for 2021: log my beers, because 2020 has just been a hot mess. So goal for 2021.
I've been better this year than I have in previous years, but I've still got a ton that I haven't done. Yeah.
Actually, log what I'm drinking.
I recently went to. I have all these photos from a road trip in the States 2 years ago of all these beers, and I recently started logging them on Untapped, and I didn't realize it was on my Twitter, and this was like early in the morning, and it just kept putting all these things.
I've made that same mistake.
I look like an alcohol, yeah.
And then you hit the badges for like drinking beers before 12 o'clock. Or,
You're like, yes.
Yeah.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, guys. Don't judge me.
I say this like I didn't hit that goal like years ago, you know.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm gonna go grab a beer quick.
Yeah, beer break.
Go for it.
Hey, this is Lisa, and you're listening to the Beer Ladies Podcast.
Back from the beer break, Joanne, what did you get?
I got the Amber IPA from Four Provinces that we were talking about.
The Piper.
Nice.
Yep, the
Very
Piper.
nice.
So now,
good.
Joanne, I now remember seeing that can that I have tried that beer. It is an amber IPA, but it's not an amber ale. So
no, it's kind of
Although, I mean, an amber IPA and an amber ale, there can also be a little bit of overlap there, depending on the bitterness. But it is. I think I enjoyed that one, if I remember. I have to check my Untapped, but I can't.
I think I had an amber. Do they do an amber ale as well, though? Because I feel like this one is. This isn't the one I had the other day.
Huh.
It could be just me getting confused, because that does happen as well. Also, that last beer was 6%, so you know.
But you enjoyed that one.
Well on her way.
Yeah, mine have been. Oh Jesus, this is 7.5%. This first one.
Yeah, this one.
I didn't even know that.
That is something.
This one's only 1.6%.
Oh,
1.6.
One.
Yeah, it's a Belgian beer. Like it's a Belgian.
That doesn't sound like a Belgian beer, does it?
Belgians are usually like 13.6.
No, but that's what it says. It says 1.6% volume. Like,
wow.
Maybe that's why it doesn't taste like
it's
anything.
a very low
maybe
alcohol.
Maybe that's why it doesn't taste like.
The best sour beer I've ever had was from New Belgium in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
I can never remember if they're in Denver or Boulder, but I was with my family there, and we did the brewery tour, and we got a growler of the La Folie, which is one of their, I think, it's not seasonal, but it's like limited edition beer. It's really, really nice. It's a really lovely beer.
You can get a lot of New Belgium stuff here, can't you?
Yeah, you can get. Craft Central have quite a few actually.
They do.
You can do, yes.
This one that we had when we were in the States on there, and it's really.
I don't think I've ever had a beer from them, so I'd be interested to try some.
Oh, their beers are so good.
Yeah, no, they're really good.
So which one should I start off with?
Try the Fat Tire.
Fat Tire.
I haven't tried that one yet, actually.
Fat Tire, I think, is probably one of their bigger sellers. I think it might have been their kind of flagship beer.
Okay. Do breweries have flagship beers? Like, is that still a thing? Was it ever a thing?
It was and it is for some. Like, for example, we went to my lovely partner is from Toronto, and we went there a couple of years ago when it was lovely out, and we went to the Steam Whistle Brewery, and all they do is a lager. It's the only beer they do.
Wow.
Is a lager.
One lager?
Yep.
Or just different lagers and they only do lagers?
Just the one lager.
Really?
It's all they do. So it's their flagship and only beer. If you do it well, why change
I mean,
it?
that is a good point, isn't it? I suppose it depends on the market you're aiming for as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's nice when you go to a new place, it's nice to go and try something local, isn't it? So that would appeal to that.
There was another one too, and I can't remember the name of it, but they had a really lovely amber. I just, Chris would know the name, but I don't want to disturb him.
I've decided to drink Founder's Green Zebra Ghost Style Ale with watermelon and sea salt.
That sounds cool.
Ooh.
And like, look at the color. It's pretty.
It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
That's poured much better as well, Carolyn.
Yes. I redeemed myself. I redeemed myself, everyone. But I like it. Like it's not too sour though, and I can definitely taste the watermelon. Like there's just a small hint of watermelon flavor. Like it's not.
Watermelon is such a strange flavor because it can taste so artificial.
Yeah, if they don't do it right, it can.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I would drink this.
Well, you are drinking it.
That's good.
Well, but I would. I would drink it again.
I had a watermelon lager in South Africa once from a brewery. I think it was Drifter, and they just did lovely beers. And I thought it was an interesting concept because I thought it would be overpowering because watermelon is actually, it's a watery fruit, but it's a strong flavor. I don't know if that makes sense. But it was actually lovely. Like it was a lovely, refreshing beer. And I happened to have a few pints of it on like a really hot day at a beer festival. And it was like the perfect beer for that day. And that's what I thought, okay, there must be interesting ways to do lagers that are not just, corn and corn and barley or whatever. There must be lovely other lagers out there.
I had a really lovely watermelon wheat beer in San Francisco before.
That sounds up my alley. This would be a good summer beer, like where you're sitting on like your porch and the beach, the beach, and like it's light. It's 4.6, but like it's light enough that you could just
and I'm looking out my window and it's rainy and gray.
Yeah, today's not the day to.
I can dream.
I'm dreaming that I'm on a beach somewhere drinking this.
Yeah,
fair enough. Now there was a brewery that I tried when I was in Canada. So Hilary, this one is for your partner Chris. There, it's called Granville Island Brewing, and they do. It was one of the. That wasn't one of the first.
Where in Canada?
They're actually in Vancouver, so not in Toronto.
Okay.
Although I tasted them in Toronto. They had a beer called Lion's Winter Ale, and it was. I don't know if I'd like it now, because I think when I had it, it was like 2003 or 4. But it was the most like flavorful winter ale that I think it was the most flavorful beer at the time that I'd ever tried. Actually, I don't know if it was 2003 or 4, but it was certainly sometime many years ago. And at the time, I just thought, I didn't know that beer could taste like this. And I think it was very much wintry flavors, so I don't know, raisins and plums and cinnamon and almost northern hemisphere winter flavors. And that was such a great beer at the time that it was one of my only, and still remains one of my only 5-star ratings on Untapped. But I think it's a bit of nostalgia, and I'd like to try it again, just to make sure.
Carlo Brewing, the makers of O'Hara's, they do a winter beer called Winter Star, and I
tried that.
Love
year,
that beer.
It is good, yeah.
I cannot wait for it to come out every year.
No,
it does taste different on tap than bottled.
Really?
I will say that. Yes, it does. I think I enjoy it better on tap than in the bottle, but I do really enjoy that beer.
There's a few of theirs that are like that, I think, as well.
Yeah. And
One
I
in particular,
think,
the name is
honestly, I
escaping me,
think the first run of Winter Star was the best. The ones after that are good, but I don't think they quite captured the flavor as well as they did the first run.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember tasting it last year, and for me, it was too minty. I don't like mint.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got a really, like, quite a strong mint flavor from it. And it tasted like those, those like peppermint candy canes. That's what it reminded me a lot of. But I really don't like mint. So that was off-putting for me. But I know a lot of people who love it, who love that beer.
I had never tasted mint in that before. I always got more like allspice nutmeg.
Now I want to try this beer.
Could be me.
No, but now I want to try it because I want to.
Well, maybe you're
taste.
just sensitive to it, or you pick up on it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in there, and
so.
you're just
I think so.
I never got mint out of that before. That's really interesting.
I think because I hate mint so much, like I can taste it in things. Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can bear mint in is in toothpaste, and even then,
I was just going to ask,
for,
would you do a toothpaste?
I try go for any other flavor, but
get the baby bubblegum toothpaste.
The baby bubblegum toothpaste.
God.
I think that's worse. I think that's worse. I think that's worse than mint.
I've had cinnamon toothpaste before, and that's actually been very pleasant.
Oh yeah, cinnamon toothpaste.
The Yormul stuff, yeah.
Does not sound right up. Does not sound up my alley, but
I think I just love cinnamon.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm that person that I won't even buy candles, but when I do, they're cinnamon scented because cinnamon is just the best.
Yeah, most candles I buy have like some sort of like cinnamon or spice in them. I don't like the flowery ones. I want like the one I'm burning right now. I think is like Christmas, like gingerbread something, so it has cinnamon in it.
Oh, love that. So Joanne. You've got all these beers behind you on your shelf, and I see there's a Mikkeller beer there. There's a Yellow Belly beer. Do you have a favorite of those up there?
Oh, you see, I got these yesterday from Craft Central, actually.
So they're full.
Oh, the cans are all full. Yeah. Now, Michael it is a bit faced off. This shelf is not full of beer. He did my setup, and
do you have the long waited for trouble pumpkin ale up there that everybody's been?
I do. I tried it last night, actually, and I tried the White Hag one too. So
okay, so don't spoil it completely.
I won't.
But did you have a firm favorite between the two?
Oh, they're different. You see, okay. One is more how I would expect, based on what all you Americans have told me.
I have not had a pumpkin beer, so I have no opinion.
But White Hag is more what I would expect from what you guys have said. But I had the trouble the last few years anyway. So and I missed the trouble on tap, actually. I would like to have that on tap
I want it to taste like pumpkin pie. That's what I want.
Yeah.
So, all right, well,
and I think so. I like the two of them, but Trouble. I won't spoil it too much for.
Yeah, but you can't compare them if they're totally different. Like you just can't.
Yeah, I think they're both very different completely. So,
well,
they both have a hint of the spice in them, but in a different way.
I've got 4 of the Trouble and 4 of the White Hag waiting for me when I'm back drinking, and I'm going to. I wanted to go to Malloy's and see what else, because they still have that Voodoo Ranger.
Oh, I really want to try that. Christina was telling me about that.
Oh, it's so good. It's so spicy. It's got a real kick to it.
I tried to order that one and it was sold out. So I was quite cross about that. I'll just keep checking. I think it's one of my favorite things about this time of year is pumpkin ales. Because you don't get them all year round, and sometimes I wish you would. Sometimes I wish you would, but then also sometimes it's nice to have seasonal beers.
At least if they would start them in August and carry them through November instead of just having them in October and never again.
Let's say through December.
Thing here, is it?
Let's say through December
even, because like in December, like I've eaten pumpkin pie at Christmas every once in a while.
That's when I make pumpkin pies in December.
Yeah, so I would say
I have a pumpkin. I might try and make pumpkin pie.
You know what
I
else
just
you
use
can do,
canned
Joanne?
pumpkin.
What? Tell me.
So I think, I personally think that the canned pumpkin is better for the pie.
Yeah.
But
No, I have
with
heard
the
that.
fresh pumpkin
Yeah.
curry is a winner.
Ooh,
I
yeah.
love pumpkin curry is dope.
Because I'd use it for soup and that, and actually
Yeah.
usually spice up the soup anyway. So yeah.
So
Yeah.
We used
Joanne,
to roast when we did jack-o'-lanterns when I was growing up. We used to roast the pumpkin seeds in the oven.
We did too. My dad
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah, I did that last year. That was good.
I
It
did
was
that.
always a fun.
I did that one year. We got a sad little pumpkin.
Yeah, I just always hated like putting my hand. It's just so gross and slimy, and the real pumpkins. Like I always hated doing it. I don't know.
It's so hard to clean off the seeds.
Yeah, it is,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, that too. I didn't think about.
I mean,
that.
we were kids. My dad just did it. So
Yeah.
If you
my
soak them,
parents did
the
it.
stuff will fall.
yeah.
Pro tip.
I figured that out last year.
I don't see a lot of pumpkin here though in Ireland anyway.
No, there's not. They have them in Tesco at the moment. It's seasonal. You only find it around Halloween.
Another pro tip for those who do brew beer, and if you want to brew a pumpkin beer, you can actually brew it. You can actually supplement it with butternut squash.
Yes, you can. You can. Yeah. And people have made lovely beers from sweet potato too. Especially obviously the orange kind, which gives you kind of a pumpkin-y flavor anyway. And
never had it. I'll have to try it one day.
Lovely. Yeah. I think at least in South Africa, pumpkins were pretty regular occurrences. You know, we'd have pumpkin often. And I don't really remember not seeing pumpkins either cut up or on the shelf like whole. Whereas here you just don't see pumpkin unless it's this time of year.
Yeah.
And then I was led to believe that they're not really grown to be eaten. They're grown for like carving for Halloween and stuff, which makes absolutely no sense to me.
I think it's an American thing. Because like
my friends are growing pumpkins at the moment actually. So
you can grow them. Oh, you can absolutely grow them. But they're big vines and they take over things.
Yeah.
Well, they grow on the ground.
But I feel like in America, like I only saw pumpkins around like Halloween. October and like Thanksgiving. Like, and then after that, I'm sure you could find them. You'd have to go to like a specialty market, but like they were in the supermarkets readily available to buy.
It's very seasonal when you can grow them and harvest them and stuff. So yeah.
I don't know how we had pumpkins all the time, and I could be misremembering. To be fair, like I had a 7.5% beer here. Oh no, I love it. No, I'm really looking forward to pumpkin ales. It's October. It's Halloween. I've already put some decorations up in my windows. I got some like window stickers of like pumpkins and ghosts and haunted houses and owls and very like autumnal and Halloween scenes.
My housemate put up stuff last week before it was October, and I was like, 2020 has no rules. We could put up the Christmas tree right now and nobody would care.
We had our Christmas tree up in March, so
yeah, like why not? Whatever makes them happy. Not? We want to put decorations for fall up a couple days before October.
And I'm going to tell you, ladies, right now, I am not going to make it through October without a drink. The entire month.
Well, you're trying your best.
I'm doing my best, but I'm watching all these cheesy horror movies, and I'm like, this would be so much better.
Yeah, or but also like on the 31st, when it's Halloween, I think everybody should just drink.
Well,
Why not?
Of course.
Oh, definitely.
And it's on a Saturday this year, so
exactly. I really want to do something for Halloween this year, like something real. I don't know what to do though yet, but I'm sure we'll figure out a plan.
We'll see what happens with.
What is everyone most looking forward to doing when these strange times are somewhat dissipated? Andy, go ahead and give us yours.
I am most looking forward to being able to see my family. So I had a trip to South Africa that didn't happen this year, and I had trips to the UK to see my sister who had a baby during lockdown. I know. So I haven't met her yet, and she's already 5 months old, and it's really, it's like it's awful to not know your niece and goddaughter in person. So I'm absolutely just looking forward to that. Like, I can't even think of traveling for leisure. It's really just seeing family and catching up in person. That's and seeing a lot of friends back in South Africa. Like, once we go back, it'll be the first time that we go back since we've moved here 2 years ago, and so it'll be really nice to just go and see people, family, friends, see the pubs, whatever. Go to the old home brew club. Yeah.
Joanne, how about you, darling?
I'm lucky enough that my family are here. I can't see them at the moment because they're in Dublin, but and I'm in Waterford. I want to hug my mammy.
Aww.
Because we've been very careful, and especially because I work in a hospital, so I don't want to expose them to anything. So when I see them, it's all very socially distanced, and hugging my niece, and my little sister's pregnant, and all those kinds of it's very much family stuff. Well, I am looking forward to being able to go to a pub and to meet all you guys, and because Thandi, Carolyn, I haven't actually met you in person yet, so. Yeah. It'd be really nice to meet you guys, but I think first for me it will be like the kind of family stuff as well, definitely.
Yeah.
Carolyn, how about you?
I'm ready to get out, go to pubs, go out, actually out on the town at night and stay out till 5 a.m. every once in a while. Well, just going out, having fun.
Yeah,
I miss
absolutely.
being able to go in and actually sit at a pub and talk to people. You can't really talk to the people around you because everybody's social distance, which I 100% agree with. I'm not saying I don't, but living here, that's the whole culture is sitting at the pub, sitting at the bar and talking to the person next to you. And
people, exactly.
And I miss being able to travel, whether it be just being able to travel, because every country has different rules. And again, not saying I agree with traveling during this time, but just being able to go travel. I had a bunch of trips planned, and then COVID hit, and I had to get a bunch of refunds, which is great that I got refunds, but at the same time, I was looking forward to
actually going,
doing things.
Hilary, what about you? What are you looking
for me?
To?
It would be the same, although I did travel for leisure, and I know that, maybe people will side-eye me for that, but I was very, very careful, I promise. And everybody was really good where we went.
Traveled to a country on the green list. There was no.
I did.
There was no legal. There was no legal law breaking or anything with what you did, though. So don't.
They took it off the green list the day we got back.
But you were there. Yeah,
but
you were there when they said it was safe to travel.
Yeah, yeah. But that was the only trip we took this year. And I didn't take any vacation time really, except a day or two here and there. Since I got back from Christmas vacation last year. So it was a long slog. So for me, I guess it would be traveling. It would also probably be going to visit my family a little bit. There's a lot going on with them. So it'd be nice to see them. And just meeting up with everybody. I think I saw Carolyn for coffee the other day. I saw Sarah at her house, but it'd be great to be able to get a big group together and not be, in isolation so much.
And not only have 6 people per table. It would be nice to just go out and
just be go back to the pub, man.
Hang out for hours.
So underrated.
Yeah.
And going to a pub and not having to eat
and not having to have a full meal. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Because I really just find that rule to be so arbitrary. So for those not in Ireland, right now you can go to pubs, but you have to have a meal worth €9 or something each. Am I right? It's not even per table. It's each person.
Each person.
So before the bar is opened, you have to order food.
So bizarre.
It's such a weird
because
rule, but I think
food obviously keeps the virus away.
I understand why they think they're doing it, but it doesn't. There are ways that they could have, they should have either just had restaurants or pubs, not restaurants and pubs that can be restaurants.
Or just say you have to order $5 minimum food and per table or something you have to have a snack or something.
But
And like
what
I'd be
even-
okay with ordering something as a snack for the whole table. You know what I
But
mean?
even what if they had it that the pubs followed the same kind of rules as the restaurants, time, taking down contact details and all that, then it's not any different, is it?
No.
There's an element of them not trusting us. There's an element of them kind of treating us like children, I think, where they don't think they can trust. And okay, not everybody is doing what they're supposed to, but where they don't think they can trust us to just have one or two drinks.
Right.
That's kind of what I get from what they're saying.
But in the before times, we didn't have to have food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, you're going there for a maximum of 2 hours. So that's the other rule, is that like you can't go for more than 2 hours. So reasonably, I mean, I know I can drink pretty quickly, but not even I can polish 6 beers in 2 hours. Like, so what did they expect was going to happen? So I don't really see why you need to have a full meal when you've only got time for 3 beers anyway.
Yeah.
I think there are definitely some people who could polish off more than six beers in 2 hours.
Yeah,
but
then
I think the majority
of
of people aren't. Yeah, exactly. The majority of people aren't, and they shouldn't be kind of basing it on the just in case people decide to be irresponsible.
Yeah, you know. See, I don't think it was about that at all anyway. I just think it was a way to get more money into the economy. It was just a way to force people to spend. You know, the UK gave people vouchers almost or something to go and spend money at restaurants and pubs.
Yeah. There was, when we traveled to Belfast, there was this whole thing, eat out to save.
That's it.
Save something like,
I think everybody got like a £10 or a 10
something like that. Yeah.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but actually it means that you're going to a pub with £10 you can get 2 beers, and then maybe you want to have some snacks, or maybe
at Wetherspoons you can get a burger and a beer.
Exactly.
There you go.
And £10.
And it's great because you'd likely then stay for longer anyway if you could, and you would be more incentivized to actually spend a bit more money. Whereas here, forcing people to have a meal means that they're only going to one pub. So instead of being able to go to more pubs for 2 hours, then 2 hours, people don't do it because they don't want to buy a second meal. So you're actually losing the money, I think.
No, I know. I 100% agree. Like my friend and I went to one place for 2 hours, and then we went somewhere and we're like, oh, we're so full, we have to order something else. And like, I understand, but we just wanted drinks. We didn't want food. We just ate like
exactly
30 minutes ago. We didn't want to eat again, but we didn't want to leave.
Yeah. So like, I think the unintended consequence is that we're not actually putting more money into the economy in the way that people thought you would, you know?
I think there's also an element of trying to keep people, when I say people, I mean the industry happy from the government's point of view, because they're all about, we shouldn't get political here, really, should we? But it's all about money for them, and they have all these influences, people lobbying them and all that, and it's all about that. It's not, they're not thinking of the greater good, I don't think, of all of us anyway, you know. But that's cynical me.
I mean, you're stating facts, you're not. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just ready to go and sit at a pub for a couple hours and not have to be
I tell you what,
rushed out. Or being able to like go somewhere else. If I am rushed out, be able to go somewhere else and not have to order food and just chill.
Yeah, go get a glass of wine and just relax.
Because like 2 hours isn't enough. Sometimes people want to hang out and chill and talk.
Oh, yeah.
You haven't seen people in a while, and it's now that it's getting cold and dark earlier, like it's not like we can go to a park or something and chill. Like,
well, you could, but you're not going to want to. Like, who?
Right.
Exactly.
Well, right. Like, nobody's going to want to go to the park when it's raining and cold.
No. I mean, I do think it's necessary. The restrictions are necessary. We have to do it, but it's just a bit of a bummer, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying they're not necessary.
Oh, no, I know.
I'm just saying, like,
they just could have done it better. That's, you know.
Yeah.
That's all.
But
I think you just never know what the best approach is. You know, you could look at countries like New Zealand or whatever the case is, but they've got a very different setup. They've got a very different culture. They've got, you know, you can't model every other country on a country that you admire. So it's a bit difficult. But I think here, you know, where people's livelihoods and social lives are all very much tied into the pubs and into the locals, it's difficult to have taken that away.
And such a small population too.
Yeah.
But like, for example, there's a school right by my house. I passed by the other day, and they were out in the recess, a recess or whatever
break
it's called here, and like they're all playing with each other and stuff. And I'm like, oh, like, how is this okay? But I can't go sit at a pub.
So the schools have actually put in quite a lot of restrictions, as in they've made bubbles. So your classroom is your bubble, and they've had to stagger things like break times, and they've given certainly in my son's school, but they've given different classes like different areas to play in. So it's not like a free for all. Your bubble is very much supposed to be kind of isolated from other bubbles, so that you can, mostly for contact tracing, I guess, but just so that you can figure it out. That being said, kids are such super spreaders.
My friend is a primary school teacher, and he said like there's supposed to be 2 meters from the children at all time, but he said there's no way he's more than 70. No, he said it's not. It's just like they're not. It's not happening, and you know. So
easier said than done.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how they made the decision to go for like schools over other things, but look,
that was to do with getting people back to work, though, wasn't it? So parents can get partly because if it's childcare stuff, if kids aren't back at work, then parents can't go to work if there's no childcare, and you know, like that was definitely part of it, I think.
Well, look, as a parent, I'm hella grateful. Because
I know, and I don't have kids, so it's kind of, you know, different, isn't it?
Right, me neither.
No, I don't either. But all my coworkers that have kids, I think they're a little bit more relieved because they don't have to be like, oh, I need to go do this. Oh, sorry, like there's a screaming child in the background, and you're like, it's not your fault. Like we're all in the same boat. You just have it a little bit worse than I do.
It does make focusing on work, at least in the mornings and stuff, it makes it a little bit easier not having another human around. And again, luckily I can work from home, and I have been, and all of that, and not everybody can, but so I can understand why it wasn't, you know, like an imperative, I guess, to get kids back, you know, at school so their parents could work. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I think it just makes sense for everyone's mental health too. The parents were going mad. I'm telling you that.
Gotcha.
We were all
I saw that.
Crazy. Like,
and I was one of them.
All the time is not natural. It's not okay.
But for the kids as well, it's so important for them to socially to get out and see other people who aren't adults, you know.
Yeah. God. And I must say, like, mine is an only child, and so it's not like he even has a sibling to get out his energy with, you know. It's
So he's got to annoy you, and
and that's why I drink. Hope he never listens to this podcast.
I read I read a thing online that said, like, you know, I don't understand how, I can't imagine how it would be being an only child. Like, who are you going to annoy for no reason?
Your parents.
Yeah. You're gonna just like throw stuff at just because you're bored.
I love it. Oh gosh.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, it's always fun. Yeah. It's always fun having nice chats with you, ladies.
It is, absolutely.
For listeners at home, like it, subscribe to it, rate it, share it, do all of those things. You can find us at Beer Ladies Podcast on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and beerladiespodcast.com. Or email us at beerladiespodcast@gmail.com.
Wonderful.
Yay.
Till next
And
time.
you can find our
Till next
podcasts
time.
wherever you get podcasts. Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts.
Indeed. Joanne.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Cheers. Carolyn, there you go. See?
Yeah, okay, yeah, judge me. It's fine. All the people watching on YouTube are going to be like, that bitch doesn't know how to pour beer. You're right. I don't. Judge me.